I wanted to make that distinction about Matthew 18 being about somebody who has sinned against you, because this course is not how to deal with someone in sin. Okay? This course is about drama, how to deal with drama in your worship team. And drama isn't always, and usually isn't, so specifically directed, this person is sinning against you or sinning against someone else. A lot of times it's just someone creating an atmosphere or a mood or an issue or just creating problems, or like hanging on to things for too long or something like that. And it's not necessarily sin. A lot of it can be boiled down to personality. And so I want to give you a couple different ways to think about this person that is potentially causing drama in your worship team. In my experience, there are two different categories. The first is a dramatic person on your worship team. Now, this is incredibly common. Across the board in worship teams, we're dealing with artists, we're dealing with musicians, and when it comes to our art, when it comes to something that we create, when it comes to our music or our voices, we as human creatures are very, very particular about that. A lot of times it's very difficult to give criticism, even constructive criticism, to people because it's like their art and what they see as God's gift to them, which they might be very talented and might be very gifted, is precious to them. Okay, and that is something that is a personal thing that God will need to work on them about. Now, you can be a part of helping to shape people, but I think all of us who are in worship ministry or in music, to a degree, have this thing in us where we feel like our gift is precious. Okay, now, one of the most helpful things that I've learned over the course of many years of leading worship and songwriting is that I had a songwriter one time tell me, because when you write a song, if you're doing it professionally, you send it off to a publisher, and then it's like a red pen on a paper from school. Like they'll go through and find every little single tiny problem with it that they can and send it back to you. And a lot of times it can be really discouraging for a new songwriter, because they're like, oh my goodness, they didn't like my song. Well, actually they did like their song. They actually liked it enough to take their time to go through it carefully to try to make it better, right? And so it's really hard to receive that criticism. It's really hard to receive those comments, because we believe that what we wrote was from a place of purity, was a place of specific creativity that was delivered to us by God, right? And while that may be true in some cases, God also wants us to work at things as well, right? And so the problem is that when we are unable to receive criticism, we're believing that the thing that we create is in itself precious, right? And the problem is that most of what we create is not actually precious. It is valuable. It has great potential for value, but that doesn't mean that it is precious. It in and of itself does not have tangible worth, and it always can be better. In fact, there always will be something better. The book of Ecclesiastes says that there is nothing new under the sun. What's under the sun? The entire world, right? And so there's not ever really anything new. The Beatles were are elevated and platformed as a group that did new and inventive things. Well, kind of, yes, but also they were experimenting with things and sounds that kind of already existed in the world. They just did a lot of various different things, and a lot of it was popular, right? And so, all that to say, somebody who is dramatic clings to those ideals that what they are creating is precious. Okay, what they offer is of great value, and when they are dramatic in such a way that it creates drama in your worship team, a lot of times they feel like that the value that they place on what they have to offer to the group is not the same as the value you see in them. Okay? So that's a dramatic person. We're still called to love dramatic people. We're still called to work with dramatic people. So what do you do when you have somebody who is a dramatic person in your worship team? Let's talk about that next.